Hey everyone, it's Wakefield and glad to be with Sylvie today, who is joining the Greater Than Financial podcast. We don't have an official name that applies to the root of what we're doing here, which is just to get into the mind of high schoolers and college age people and like are their views on money and trying to do a better job of making sure they have everything they need to be the kind of adults and live the kind of life they want. So, Sylvie, thank you for being here. Would you tell us a little about yourself?
Yeah, of course. I'm glad to be here. I'm 16 years old. I'm a junior in high school. I'm currently unemployed, but I've had a job. I had a job
What?
last summer. Um, but I really like helping in like my community and stuff and doing things with that, and as well as basketball and volleyball and just sports.
Yeah, great. So you're currently unemployed. Have you ever held a job before?
Yes, I worked at Cabin Coffee in Savannah and was paid minimum wage.
Yeah. And you remember minimum wage. What was minimum wage at that time? Do you remember?
$12.
Yeah. Good. And what did you think of that experience? How long did it last for you? What did you learn about work in general?
I think I worked there for 3 months during the summer, maybe four, and it was a really good experience during the summer. And the people who ran it were great, and I realized like more about like taxes. I guess I always thought it was going to be some big daunting thing, but they just do it for you, and so that was a lot easier than I had expected. Um, and I also learned what it was like to have my own money, which was like great because I hadn't experienced that before.
Nice.
Um, so definitely need to get another job.
All right, Sylvie. So who you are, I think, is really important to me and probably anyone else listening to this. So to help get to the root of that, I would love for you to think about a time in your life when you say, I felt the most alive. You just felt the kind of energy that money can't necessarily buy. What are one or two instances where you said, yes, that's when Sylvie felt the most alive? And what was it like to you?
That would probably be last summer when I was in Tennessee for a thing called NatCon with Team Pack Leadership Schools. We got to go stay on a college campus for a week, and like we had like monitored absolute freedom, and it was just really fun. And
You just say monitored absolute freedom.
yes, there were people around, so you couldn't be crazy, but like you were pretty like on your own, and so it felt like you're just going to college, but we didn't have to do school, which was a nice plus. And so just like when I was around my friends and around all my peers who like were like-minded and stuff, and so I could be myself and do the things I like wanted to do, and we were on like any tight schedule. That was a really fun time. And then also right now, because I just got a car.
Yes. And we'll talk about that more in a little bit. So let's go back to Teen Pack. You got to travel for that, so that was a unique experience. Do you like traveling?
Yes, I love traveling.
How would that experience been different if instead of a bunch of peers, a bunch of other teens, it would have been just you? And
I would have still enjoyed it because I like kind of seeing the country, and we got to go through a lot of different like places, environments, because we went all the way to like the lower part of Tennessee. Um, and I enjoyed doing that. The actual like camp experience would be very different because it was about 1,200 people. So that would have been a lot different, and it would have probably felt like kind of like a ghost town and not quite as alive. But the traveling part, I would have still enjoyed that.
Yeah, good. Scenario question for you. Imagine that you own all of the things you could ever dream of owning, whether it's the nicest car you'd ever buy, the biggest house, maybe like land and acres that are in one of the most beautiful places in the world. You own it all. But the catch is you own it because you're the last surviving person on earth. Would you be happy?
No,
Why not?
because
You
I like
own
people.
everything, Sylvie. Why aren't you happy?
Because I don't have people. I'm very much a extrovert and a people person.
Hmm.
So things aren't really worth it if I can't like share them with others.
Any other experiences that you recall that you're like, oh, I just feel so alive when I'm in those scenarios or situations or buy this thing?
Whenever I go to Florida and the beach is there because the
Mm.
beach just makes me happy.
So beach or mountains, what kind of girl are you?
I like both. I'll go to North Carolina and you can just go to the beach or the mountains.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk a little about money specifically. Is money a topic that you think often about, have spoken with others about often? What has been your view of money to this point in your life?
Yeah, I think about it quite a bit, especially now that I have to pay for gas. But I've been saving for a while, and I've known that it was important to like plan for your future and to do things. And it's also always nice to have it so I can go out and do things with my friends and not have to like worry about asking them to pay for my lunch or getting money from my parents. But it's kind of a stressful thing to think about too sometimes.
Mm. Yeah. So you said you knew about saving. Can you remember why you knew about saving? Was it just it's just a thing I'm born knowing, or where did that come from?
Well, my parents are pretty responsible with money, and so is my grandma. She does taxes and stuff for people, but also Pinterest, because like these little videos of like how to save money, how to prepare for the future would come up. And one video, maybe 2 years ago when I was like a freshman, came up and it was like every time you get a $5 bill, just tuck it away, save it, forget you ever even like came across a $5 bill. Only fives, and so I have like a stack of $5 bills in a wallet like under a bench in my room, that I've been saving with that since then.
Very good. So your folks and a grandma, so that's a lot of where your basis of what you know about money came from. Is that true?
Hmm.
Were they sitting you down and be like, Sylvie, here is your instructions on how to view money? Or was it just things you observed in them?
Yeah, it was more of an observant learning. Like I just kind of watched what they did, and then like they would say, "No, don't spend that," or "No, we can't get that right now because we don't need it." And so I just kind of like I guess it became a mental thing.
As you watched any of the adults in your life that you've just been close to, was there ever times you can recall of like confusion or like why is that the thing or why are you doing this? Like was it ever or was it always just blind like, yeah, okay, I see it, I will do it.
I mean, when I was little, I was like, "Why in the world wouldn't you buy me this thing?" And then as I get older, it's like if I see people around me, well, actually, I don't know now. When it was more when I was little and like didn't really know what to think.
Okay, let's go with that. When you look around at others, maybe they're some of your friends your age or non-friends, but still peers, do you see people making choices with money that confuse you or that you would say maybe not the best choice?
Yeah. Um. There's definitely just like a lot of kind of like, I want this, I'll get it. It's
Mhm.
fine. I don't have to pay for anything yet because I'm in high school, like nothing big. I mean, because we all have to pay for stuff every day, which I have learned, sadly. Um, but not really confusion, just like they're doing what they want to with their money. So
Do you feel like people in your life, friends or others, judge you for your money choices?
possibly sometimes. I currently have like $4.25 in my bank account. And over Christmas break, I've been doing a lot of stuff with friends that I like probably shouldn't have like been spending on, but I wanted to just like go out and do stuff. And so yeah, that might have caused a bit of judgment, but it's fine because I bought them all ice cream, which was also maybe a bad decision.
Why did you choose to buy him ice cream?
um, because for that specific little outing thing I did with a few friends, my mom had given me money to get dinner, and then we went to a really cheap place. So I was like, you know what? I'll just like buy us Culver's or whatever.
Hmm. Is that something you would typically be quick to do? Like, round of ice cream on Sylvie.
Yeah. Yeah.
How does it feel when you like when you announce that, like, guys, it's on me this time?
That part feels really good.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
like
do your friends like? Do you think they appreciate it? What do they?
it.
How do
Hmm.
they react?
Yeah, they're all broke high schoolers too, so they appreciate it.
Nice. Yeah, I agree. It's an amazing feeling when someone can look at you and say, "You are making me feel amazing right now." That's pretty good. Okay, so I'd like to know from you how it feels to be a driver and a car owner because this is recent for you, right?
Yeah, just like last Friday, I think.
Wow. And so how long ago do you remember starting to fantasize or dream about having your own vehicle?
Like the second I learned like that I would be able to drive one day, I don't know. Me and my cousin Hayden would we had this big pink Barbie car, and then we just talk about when I turned 16, I'd take us everywhere, and it was just like 16 was always fantasized about because you just assume there's an automatic car involved, but it took a few months of me being licensed to actually get a car.
Mm.
So I've been dreaming about it for a while.
And does it feel as good as you'd hoped when you dreamt about it?
Yes, if not better, because I haven't wrecked yet, and I always imagined I would probably wreck.
Do you think you'll get in a wreck in your life?
Seems inevitable. Hopefully not with this car.
Yeah, I agree. I hope it not, but it did happen to me a couple times early in my driving career. So
Yeah,
we're
both of
ready.
my parents have some crazy wreck stories.
Hmm. Hope for the best, prepare for the worst.
Exactly. Was it you who told me to pretend like there's always someone on the road trying to kill you?
That is the advice I give to any young driver. And you do not know what car they're in, so you have to stay uber alert.
I was thinking about that on the highway yesterday.
Good. I'm glad you listened. But the side effect of thinking that there's someone on the road trying to kill you, and yet you don't know what car they're in, then when you pass people or get passed on the highway, you might end up unknowingly shooting them like really dirty looks, making sure not they're not the ones trying to kill you.
Oh,
So
yeah,
try to
no.
smile as you're discerning. Otherwise, people think you're a really mean driver.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they can think what they want.
That is true. And that
I'm
seems to be
joking.
a great segue into something we touched on earlier about judgment of others, but how much of the way you view money and your resources, money, time, your Sylvie's energy, and your skills, how much do you think it's your independent choices and desires that are being pursued versus what others expect of you, whether that's family, friend, or just the culture at large?
Um, it might be kind of both because like my desires kind of align with like what my friends would want me to do if we're out and doing stuff, and like I want to get this, and I have like X amount of money and it costs Y, and I have like a little bit more than I need, so I can just go ahead and buy it, even though that's going to put me like deeper into um, brokenness. And um, but then like I also try and save more because I want to be able to have stuff to, like to do in the future. Because right now it's Christmas, so it's like there's kind of thing after thing after thing, and like now I have to go to my mom if I want money, and I'm also trying to save up for gas. And thankfully, I had a gift card that I got for my birthday a while back that was for gas. This is kind of off topic. Can you remind me of the question?
Yeah. So, how much do you think that your choices and your views on how you handle your money and resources is just because it's what Sylvie thinks and what Sylvie desires versus what others think and what others expect of you?
Yeah, I guess it can be the other way too. It's I don't I feel like people judge me if I when I do have money, or like when I do have more money, because like if I have more money than someone else, I just kind of automatically feel guilty no matter like what the difference is. And so I feel like that they might think I don't know, I'm spoiled
Mm.
or have too much, and they don't, and I just like kind of get self-conscious about that. But then I don't really, when I'm broke, I don't really care what they think of me as much. It's more like guilt on having more money than it is like shame in not having money.
Nice. Okay. So, in having money, here's another scenario for you. At the after this call, gonna I'm not going to, unfortunately, but let's say you get $1,000. What will Sylvie do with that $1,000, and will it change her life?
I would, well, $1,000. I'm trying to like picture that. So, I like to split things into like kind of three separate sections, and it's like you can spend this amount on whatever you want. This part goes into savings, and then this part is used for necessities like gas and food. But right now, I don't really have to pay for food, which is nice. And then, so yeah, it would probably just go into the three sections, and I try to do the most in savings, and then kind of divvy up the whatever I want and necessities.
So wouldn't it feel better if you just spent it all?
No, because I'd have the things, but then I just have the stuff laying around that I bought. Or if I spend it on an experience, then yes, like a concert,
Mhm.
that would feel worth it.
Yeah. And like, is that a good example of something maybe out of the ordinary you would spend on if you had excess cash, like a concert?
Yeah, I did that. I'm going to see, and it's definitely more for the experience because I bought tickets with my friends to go see NF, who's a
Hmm,
kind of Christian rapper,
right.
in May, and the tickets were, I think they were $140, and so they're a bit more expensive, not compared to like Taylor Swift. That I would spend everything, my whole like life on to go see Taylor Swift, but that's another story. Um, but NF isn't necessarily one of like my favorite artists, but my friends were going and I wanted to spend time with them and
Mm.
see his performance, so I was more willing to spend that money, I guess.
Have you been to a major concert before?
Yeah, I saw Morgan Wallen a couple years ago in Lawrence, Kansas.
What did it make you feel? Why was it a good
It,
time? Why was it a good time?
yes, it was really awesome. I went with my mom and my aunt and uncle and sister, and we got there, and I was at the time an even bigger Morgan Wallen fan than I am now, and so it was just like amazing to see. It was a giant stadium, and he came out and he was performing with Ian Munsick and Hardy, and I also love them. And we just had a great time, and there were people around us in the seats that were nice and like talking to us instead of like everyone just like watching and like kind of keeping to themselves. So it was like funny, and the people were funny to be around, and it was a good experience. And I'm droning on.
No, you're doing great. I was wondering if you got a single ticket to that Morgan Wallen concert, would that have changed the experience? Like, nope, here, Sylvie, drop you off at the door, go inside. Would it still been awesome?
It would have been awesome, and then I would have left and got kidnapped and murdered.
Because the self-defense skills aren't there the way you want them to be yet.
No, no. I mean, actually, okay, that's a good point. I would have probably had pepper spray on me, but it would have just probably not gone well. It's like kind of a crowd of people. We could have a suffocation situation.
Well,
Um,
assume you would have been physically safe. Uh, would it have been would it have been enjoyable if it was just you, not enjoying it with anybody you know personally?
yes, that would have still been a lot of fun.
Yeah, good. Great. Okay, so $1,000 might spend more. I'd asked you if why not spend it all, and you said it wouldn't feel great to spend it all, and you kind of referenced the after feeling of spending it all wouldn't last long. Like, how long do some of those feelings of spending, whether it's on an item like material things or experience, how long does that joy typically last for you before you're like it wore off? It didn't last forever.
Yeah, pretty quickly. With certain things, if I use them every day, I'm like, oh yeah, I spent my money well on this. This was a good purchase. And then other things, it's just like, I really didn't need it. Like even if it's like jewelry or something, I already have jewelry, but I thought this was cute. But then, like, it's kind of a waste of money. Experiences like, let's say NatCon, in May, that like is still causing me joy. I'm still making friends from that, and somehow because I'll get introduced to someone I didn't know through another friend, and so like I have like my social circle just like kind of expanded times 10.
Nice. If you
So
could go to NatCon once a month, would you? And would it
yes,
change the experience of NatCon, do you think?
it might become a little bit more like normal, and I'd probably, my sleep would go down at each month by quite a bit, but
Be very unhealthy for only sleeping 2 hours a night for
yeah, it
6
would
months
be
of the
rough,
year.
but it was fun, and I get really good at volleyball because I was captaining a volleyball team.
Wow.
Yeah, so I would do it once a month for sure. Unless it costed the same amount of money, because
So you don't think it would cause this special nature of NatCon to be diminished at all?
Okay, yeah, maybe it would. That might
Mhm.
be a little bit rough. It would probably be rough.
Mm.
Because then I'd probably get sick of being around that many people. It's
Well,
it's
one of the things I know I feel the most alive is when I get to spend time with my wife and children. And it is a thing where like, oh, I don't say, yeah, if I spend one great week with them or 2 great weeks in the summer a year, then it's sweet. But no, I really want to be with them every day. So
Mhm.
it's not like I'm kind of leading you into that question a bit. Like, does it diminish the experience? But there are some things it's like, yeah, every day, this is great. And I think you
Yeah,
would do NatCon a lot from the way you talk about it.
yeah. Maybe every 2 months would be like a great start.
Mm. I always wonder about some of those things we love the most. Like I don't get tired of them very quickly. Like in my case, it'd be like peanut butter ice cream. And like,
Mhm.
if I really thought I didn't have control about how much I consumed, if if it does work when you hear people talk about eat so much or do it so much you're sick of it, and then you'll be better and you won't be so attracted to it. Have you ever done that? Do you think that works? Because I have not had experience like that, gorging myself.
No, I don't think that would really with like things that I like. I want to enjoy them when I want them and not just like force myself to like in your case eat them like
Yeah.
24/7. But then with friends and stuff, I could be with my friends for hours on end and never get sick of them, depending on the friend, of course. But
Right.
that's
Right.
a
Absolutely.
that's a joke. That, that was mean.
Oh, I'll be sure to highlight that in the post editing of the podcast. Sylvie is trying to make a joke.
Yeah, that yeah.
Okay, I said $1,000 earlier in the example. What if it was $100,000? Now, what are you thinking? And does that amount of money change your life?
Yeah, now I'm hiring someone to manage my money for me and invest it in like certain stocks and stuff. Like someone
Mhm.
who knows what they're doing. Possibly my dad. I don't know. He's pretty good about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would probably change my life quite a bit.
If your dad charges you for financial advice, you let me know, okay?
Okay. Yeah, I didn't think of that. He probably wouldn't do that.
He might. I don't know. He might.
No, I'll hire you to handle my money. How about that?
uh, yeah. So it sounds like you'd be more in this, like, hey, save and use that well for a future version of Sylvie. Is that right?
Hmm.
Great. Okay. So I'd like to press in on that just a bit. Do you have a hard time imagining? So Sylvie right now is 16 years old, right?
Hmm.
Do you have a hard time actually envisioning any future version of Sylvie, like the 18-year-old Sylvie? Can you get a sense of what she's like? Do you ever try to imagine what she's like?
Yeah, I do. It's crazy to think about because when I'm 18, I'll be going to college, and that's like scary. But I think I'll be a pretty similar person. I know like we all change like kind of slowly over the course of years, or some years like we'll kind of have a major like transformation, but I think I'm still the same person. I'm just probably gonna have I'll have more money. Since that's kind of the topic of this podcast, I'll have more money. Um, and that will but I'll have to spend more. So I'll have more, but I'll have to spend more
Mm,
to live and to kind of survive.
mm.
And so yeah, but I hope I'm pretty much the same.
When you think about 18 in particular, like that independence that comes with really starting to step fully into adulthood,
Hmm.
is that make you more excited or fearful or a big combination of both?
A big combination because I'm pretty independent, and so I'm not necessarily scared to go off, and I'm not going to go insanely far like across the country for college. So I'll still have like my family to lean on if I need them. Um, but then it's also scary because I'll be out on my own and stuff happens, and I'll have to like make choices every day. And well, I have to make choices every day now, but I'll have to make bigger choices every day. But I'm excited for that. So I say I'm more excited than scared.
Yeah.
But it will be something.
It will be something. Good. Any particular parts that you say that is scary or why it's scary? Have you thought why parts of that might just terrify you, or is that too strong?
I'm not 100% sure.
Mhm.
I think I'm scared more of just like the going to college and then like the first week I'll be scared, but then I'll like meet people
Mhm.
And like, so like being alone, I guess, is like without friends. But I think I know people who are going to the same college as me.
Yeah.
So that'll make it better.
If you were independent right now, like we're talking about when you're 18 and say maybe off to school,
Hmm.
would you like in right now not having your parents to kind of still provide some dependence for you and help you make choices? If they weren't around or giving you any input right now or without restriction, how much different would your life look? How much different with the way you handle your time and money would that look?
If my parents weren't there to help me, then right now I'd be a lot like I'm already stressed about getting a job. I need to get that done. But I'd have to provide for myself. I'd have to like just kind of buckle down and start making money so I can help myself get to college. You mean like not college me now?
Right, yeah, just like
Yeah.
16-year-old Sylvie, would you still do the same classes even that you're doing now under their under their authority?
Yeah, I probably would. I really enjoy what I do for school
Mm,
and the college classes I take, and that went really well. And I'm going to get dual credit for that, thankfully,
mm.
because it can transfer places. So I think that I'd stay in the same educational place that I'm in. Um, but I would definitely have to like start researching and finding ways to save and make like a savings account because I have a savings account, but it's not really run by me at all.
You hire your mom to help you with your savings account.
Yeah, ever since I was born.
Good, it's nice to have an assistant like that.
Hmm. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so we had talked a bit ago about envisioning 18-year-old Sylvie, and now a little bit bigger challenge because 2 years, it's like, man, you can imagine how quickly that'll come because you can imagine how quickly it seemed like you were 14 and now you're 16.
Yeah.
What about 10 years? 26-year-old Sylvie, can you get a grasp on her? Do you feel pieces of what she might be feeling, or is that too difficult?
I have no idea. I hope at that point I have a family and a house and stuff, and I'm kind of in that stage of my life, but I don't know what I'll be like personality wise. Like, I mean, I think I'm gonna always have kind of like the same, I have a funky personality, but I think that will be the same, but I don't know what struggles I'll be going through at that point.
Mhm.
Definitely more finance struggles.
That's a good question. Have you ever heard the term scarcity before and know what that means at all?
Yeah, like limited resources or something.
Great. Yeah, and so scarcity applies to 16-year-old Sylvie and 38-year-old Wakefield and 26-year-old Sylvie and 85-year-old Wakefield. So
Yeah.
that's there. How about the term opportunity cost? Have you ever heard that? And could you give a stab at what that means?
I'm not sure what it means. I'm guessing I have no idea.
Yeah. So let's take, for example, your summer plans. You get to take a NatCon trip. Is that right?
Yeah.
Great. So did you have any other choices you had to give up to carve that out of your summer?
Um, almost. There's an opportunity with the college I'm looking at that's called something fusion. It's fusion is the program, but then there's another like smaller version, but it costs a lot more money, so it wasn't as much of a choice. But I would have gotten to go to a different country or cross seas to Alaska and do mission work
Mm,
with the college and get like trained on that, and that would have been a really cool opportunity. But it costed way more, and it was like around the same time as NatCon,
mm.
and I just kind of like want to be able to spend that last year with my friends that I've made, who I probably won't get to see a lot afterwards.
That was really impressive that you used that experience to actually use the words opportunity and cost as you gave a great example of opportunity cost. So I couldn't have scripted that better. In that example, like, okay, NatCon, great. Um, the opportunity cost with your time was you could have spent that same time going on a more college related experience, although I'm sure you'll get benefits in college from NatCon. But
Hmm.
also, even before that, when you considered the money cost of the trips, you chose a NatCon experience, it sounded like, because it was a little more cost effective. It didn't cost as much money too. So by choosing one, you had another opportunity that it cost you by choosing one thing. And so that's really what opportunity cost is. And the reality is, even giving me your time on this call, you could have been preparing things for the holidays. You could have been watching a movie or sleeping, but all
I'd be
those
sleeping.
things. And so thank you, because you paid a cost of what else you could have been doing by giving me some of your time just to get to know you better. So, and I asked that because scarcity and opportunity cost, as you showed, it is always something like present. It's like
Mhm.
these ghosts that are always there, but you can't see them, that are always influencing everything we do. So
Yeah.
great. So at 26 years old, there will be scarce resources, but what gives you
Yeah.
confidence that the 26-year-old Sylvie will have more freedom than 16-year-old Sylvie? Or are you confident in that?
Freedom, I think that like in certain ways, like what I want to do, where I want to go, I'll have more freedom, but I think I'll also be more tied down because my goal is to have a family by then. And so I'll have to think of others a lot more than myself before I think of myself.
Mm.
So I guess like maybe not as much freedom in that way, but then freedom in other ways. And like, yeah.
But right now you aren't free to enjoy a family because you aren't married, and you aren't planning on having kids. So
Yeah.
you do have that freedom now, but you aren't free to experience the joys of a relationship with a spouse and kids as well. So
Yeah.
that's a great point. Like, honestly, it's difficult when you use the word freedom because
Hmm.
no one is ever truly free because, like, of scarcity. At least in this life, we're not truly free, and we're been
Yeah.
down by a lot. But like certain levels of freedom, do you feel like the 26-year-old version yourself will have the ability to choose what makes her most happy more so
Mhm.
than the 16-year-old Sylvie?
Yeah, cause I think I will,
Yeah.
because what I think is gonna make me most happy is the ability to have a family.
Mm.
Um, and I think I'll be able to also kind of like plan like family vacations and stuff like that. Like right now, that's in the hands of other people, and like we haven't been able to right now because we're building a house, which is really exciting, and I prefer that to vacation at the moment. But yeah, I think that future me will be free in certain ways that I'm not now, and right now I'm free in ways that I won't be when I'm older.
Great. And I think you'd mentioned a house in your future. You'd like to own your own house or maybe with a spouse someday, right?
Yeah.
Great. This is one that you may just have to stab at, but I'd be curious what your answer would be. What do you think is like the typical cost of a house in your area of the country? How much do you expect that you would have to spend if you're ready to buy one today that was was not like really extravagant, but also not dangerous?
A lot, like maybe 80,000,
Good.
maybe more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
It's
good.
just-
I said there's no wrong answer there. Curious what you think. $80,000. Yeah. So it's probably in our neck of the woods because we're close by. I would probably tell most 18-year-olds, like, all right, if buying a house is as soon as possible is important to you, you probably should at least look at spending 150,000. But my first house was actually a foreclosure, and it was only 45,000 in 2007. So
yeah,
really, it's like, yeah, you probably could find one for 80, Sylvie.
that's as much as like a car right now.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I think the last one I want to give you is that one more little scenario. I said $1,000, and then we said $100,000. What if Sylvie had $1 million, like after we leave here? Does that
Um,
change your life? What are you thinking about then?
yeah, then I'm investing probably a good. I'm gonna invest probably most of that,
Mm,
or save and then invest, and then use the rest on experiences and my family and to help keep other people up.
mm.
But $1 million would definitely change my life.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have to worry about as much in the future. But then if I had $1 million, I also have to pay taxes for $1 million. And so I just got to hire people to do that. I could hire my own law firm. I just read a book where this girl came into like billions and billions of dollars called
Mm,
The Inheritance Games. And that was really fun to read and think about because it was like just an unimaginable amount of money. And she couldn't wrap her mind around it in the
mm,
book series either. And it made me think, well, what if I had this much money? And I'm like, I don't really know that I want to have that much money
mm.
because I feel like it can tear up relationships and your view of the world. But then I could use it for good too.
Right. That's a pretty mature thought because it would be hard for someone to turn down, say, a significant amount of money. But
Mhm.
I've often thought that too. If you win some of the Mega Millions jackpots that sometimes creep, around a billion, and I
Yeah.
thought that'd be really difficult to make any new friends, like true, genuine friends,
Yeah.
because in, unless you manage to keep from them that you were uber rich. Otherwise, you're like, I don't know if you care about me for me or for what I have, and
Yeah.
that'd be sad.
You just have to find people who have more money than you and then they don't care.
Hmm. Right. And maybe they don't even have money. Maybe it's some really broke people who's like, I just don't care.
Yeah, Eminem style state of
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah, that's right. Do you think you could live really broke? Do you think you could do it?
I think I could. I don't know, really broke, but when I was littler and didn't like understand what was going on, my family had quite a bit less money. We had to move in with my grandma, but I didn't really know the struggles because I was just kind of like little and oblivious. I was like, hee hee, I get to live with my grandma.
This is great,
Um,
mom and dad. We should always do this.
yes, I was sad when we had to leave, but right now I think that I could. I don't think I'd be. I mean, I'd be sad. I'm not gonna pretend that I wouldn't be like, oh, no money. But like, you mean my family, right? Or just me? Because right now I am just broke.
Right, right. But because you've got some support from your parents, you don't have to live in poverty.
Yeah, I think as long as I had a roof over my head and food, that would be
Mhm.
like. Just got to start reading my Bible more. Get thankful.
Yeah. So, does your spirituality and your view of the world does that influence the way you see money and your resources?
Yeah, because I know it's all fleeting and it's not gonna last forever. So I can focus more on my soul and eternity and like not worry about that, but like think about that and set my mind on that. Then I have to on like if I don't become famous and a billionaire, then no one will ever remember me in this little itty bitty blip in time.
Hmm.
And like it would
It
just
almost sound like you cussed there when you said blip in time. Blip in time.
no. I was like your face was like what?
Listen, wait, did you just curse?
No, not on the podcast.
Yep, family friendly here. How would you advise those who are a little bit behind you in the experience and the age game, who maybe a 14-year-old version, either of yourself or some of the kids you know who maybe look up to you? How would you advise them related to how they think about their resources, including their time and money?
Okay. I would say think about the future that you want and what you want to be able to accomplish in your life and save start to think about savings according to that. But also when you're like going out and doing stuff with your friends, don't feel like you have to like choose a more expensive option. Like say, hey, how about we just stay in and watch a movie instead of going out to dinner and going to the movies? Just like if you don't have as much, then try and steer it into a cheaper direction. That way you don't have to spend as much and you don't feel guilty for like not getting what they're getting or being like, no, I can't do that. Sorry. If they all go to get ice cream, which is like we've talked about ice cream so much in this podcast. I think that's so like it was mentioned within the first couple minutes, and then
And now
you could
it's ice cream bookends this episode of this
yes.
podcast.
I mean,
Good.
who doesn't love ice cream?
Well, I mean, you might be like-minded with me because often I'm thinking about ice cream as something that's good to have, but I don't always need it as much as I like to have it. So
Yeah, no.
great. Any last words before we spin a wheel, Sylvie? You've done fantastic.
Thanks. Thank you for having me.
Beautiful. Well said. Thank you for
Carpe
having me.
diem.
Thank you for entertaining with all these questions thrown at you.
Mm,
It's hard to be put on the hot seat. So good job.
yeah.
Okay, I am going to share with you this wheel. And Sylvie and I have talked about some of the gift cards she might like. And we have Dick's Sporting Goods, Trek Smart. I'm assuming that's a fuel gift card. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
as you mentioned during our talk. And then we have Target as well. So we've got a $5 variety, $10 variety, and $20 variety on each of these. So you just need to poke your camera and then we will be spinning the wheel. So whenever you poke it, that's when the wheel will spin.
Good. I'm poking my camera.
Yes. There you go. That was good enough for me.
Okay.
And
Oh,
you are a
oh, okay. Yeah.
$20 target. Good job.
Oh, nice. Thank you so much.
Congratulations. We do have a winner. So that will be coming your way. And
Okay.
it is both a prize for you and a thank you for giving your time. And I also want you to think about what you would name this podcast, because it all right now it just sits under my business name. But so consider that, throw out some ideas.
Okay.
There'll probably be more prizes if the name you choose for the podcast actually becomes the
Oh,
official name. So
well, that's good to know.
yeah, prizes everywhere. That's a life's one big prize. So
The interrogation seat with Wakefield.
I
Not
like it. Well, I need to put that in writing or I'll forget it within 5 minutes. So cool. Sylvie, thank you. Have a Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
you too. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.